Okay. Hold on.
And just, I want Mr. Kwan to know so he doesn't feel like I'm
No.
trying to, I like to take notes, record things, whatever.
Okay, let me make a comment about Abby today.
Sure.
Yeah, she came a little bit late, like a couple of minutes late, maybe 3-4 minutes late this morning.
Yeah.
But she came here, she get a spider book out, she took notes, she paid full attention today. It's the first time for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, that was nice.
Okay.
To see that, yeah.
Good, I'm
Excellent.
glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Excellent.
One of the concerns that we talked about in the meeting with Crystal a couple days ago was the steps that Abby needs to take in order to retake the test, because it seems like there's been some confusion around who's responsible for getting the test back, or where she's supposed to take it, or how she returns it to you.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna, again, write down stuff, record it, make sure that I
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
have everything squared away,
Yeah,
because,
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
when I give the test,
uh-huh,
Abby and there's another girl, both of them took the test downstairs.
right,
Took the test down there, pretty much every time. So when they're done, they return back to me. And they can have as much time as they like.
yeah.
Yeah. So
To turn it back
yeah,
to
turn
you?
it back to
Okay.
me. Good thing.
Okay. Were there any other questions?
Yeah, the primary reason to come today was to talk about the notes or lack of notes. So can you tell me what the story is with that?
All right, the notes is welcome to get the notes, but I would highly recommend her, because learning mathematics, you cannot read. It's not like English. You know, a book, you open the book and read it. You got to write down. You
Right.
get to see it, you get to write down. That's the way to learn math.
Right.
Because you give them a piece of paper, the kids just sit there, that's it.
So,
And they don't never pay attention. So I want them fully pay attention to me, what I'm saying, what I'm writing.
And to be engaged
Yeah, to be
with you
engaged.
while you're
They're
doing
thinking
the
at
direct
the same
instruction.
time. I think that's the best way for learning mathematics.
Can
okay.
you, I think, just so that we have an understanding of what your teaching style is and kind of how
Well, can
class
I,
works.
I'm just a second. I'm sorry, because I don't want to get too far down the teaching style before I get through the note piece.
That's what I was asking, is what the notes would look like. Because if she's just taking kind of the notes of everything that he's writing up on the board, then she's not having to write anything. And your concern is that
She might get lost because, you know, kids, when they get something there and they could think of something else, they're not focusing. They, like Abby in the past, she get her cell phone, Facebook, texting. And she's not paying attention.
Have you asked her what she does on her cell phone?
Oh, yeah, I seen it before. I seen she was on the Facebook before. I seen
Okay.
a couple.
Yeah, I mean, do you know that she also looks for math help on her?
I'm not sure. I know I didn't.
So you haven't asked her?
I haven't asked her.
Okay.
Yeah, but whenever I ask her, I see she did not pay attention. I ask her, Abby, pay attention. Put your cell phone away. She said, "Oh, what she say to me? Oh, I'm using it as a calculator." I said, "Oh, we have a yellow calculator here. You should use this one better than your cell phone." That's what she told me.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, and the calculators, all,
Have-
and you saw those in the
Yeah.
room, all up on the board. So what do the notes look like that are available to the students?
Well, the note like this, okay? My note first, so when I talk to the kid, then the kid participate.
Right.
How they solve the problem. My way solving totally different way than the kid solve the problem. So normally I use the kid way of solving the problem. And that's like my note like this.
So you provided a couple different ways to solve the
Right,
problem.
this is my way,
Okay.
but when I talk to the kid, okay, how do we solve this? And they say, oh, this is how we learn it from 9th grade, 10th grade, from a couple years ago. Then I try to use their ways, so it have some kind of connection to them.
Okay.
And this is the note come out here. And every willing to take it. I mean,
Sure. This is going to sound like a jerky question, so
Go ahead.
I'm sorry it's going to sound like that. Have you read her IEP?
yes, I did.
When did you last read it?
I read it when I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, something about getting the notes. Yeah.
Okay. So what's your understanding of her accommodations that she needs
Well,
to
she
have?
can take a test,
Okay.
leave a room and get more time,
All right.
more homework time.
Okay. Any other understanding of her IEP?
Well, all of the teachers are all, as soon as we get the IEP, either
Yeah.
a hard copy or an electronic copy, all the teachers, they have class lists with all the students who are on IEPs
Sure.
or getting services highlighted so that that's
Right.
where
So I
the
guess
case manager is
I'm
in
wondering,
contact with them
do
to
you
provide
understand,
support.
or are you aware of what she's on an IEP for?
Well,
You mean her eligibility?
Yeah.
Is that the anxiety?
I'm
piece?
asking Mr.
But
Kwan.
to talk about concussion-
Mr. Kwan, do you understand what she's, or do you know what she's on an IEP for?
well, what I understand here, when I read the IEP, I read what's required for me to
Okay.
provide to her.
And what does it require for you to provide?
Well, like I mentioned before, well, give her the notes. Okay, she want a note, get a note. She want more time for the test, give her more time for test. She want attention for the homework, give
Right.
it to her.
So a couple things. You said, well,
So I just want you
What-
to be aware too that the teachers are not as well versed in special education eligibilities like special education case managers are.
that's
so
fine,
teachers
yeah.
don't always know about other health impaired
Right,
or ADHD
right.
or
They
anxiety
might
or
not.
how that manifests. So what the teachers are responsible.
well, they need to know what the disability is.
Well, in some ways. So the teachers are held responsible for the service summary.
Right.
And if there are questions or concerns about.
So what is the service
eligibility or
summary
the
for Abby?
process, those are all the things that Mr. Kwan was just discussing. So the service summary is
Right.
that back
I know what
page
I know what they are.
with all of those.
But I've just
modifications.
heard. Didn't hear what that was. No, it's fine.
Okay.
So your class notes, your notes. Where do you keep your notes?
I keep on my desk in the pile.
Okay. And I get the fact that you want kids to pay attention.
Right.
There's two different strategies. I've been to plenty, and you have too, I'm sure, at teachers and lectures where they give you the PowerPoints ahead of time, and plenty of them that don't give it to you ahead of time. Different philosophy on how that's going to affect the learner. What is Abby's requirement for her notes?
Well, that total is up to her. If she want a note, she welcome get a note.
It's not up to her, though. You're required to give her your notes before every class, for every class.
So again, I think we're.
Do you know that? That's in the summary that you just said you're supposed to know.
I know that she can get the notes.
She's not supposed to get them. You're supposed to provide for them. So where are the notes for today's class?
Well, the note right here. If you want to know, I'm
So-
willing to give you. It's
So
no
in the
problem.
in the
But
classroom, you have a folder with the notes sitting up by the.
There's
by
a
the
bunch of
overhead
notes
where you
right
do
here.
that.
There's
So-
a bunch of notes right there. And I'm telling you right now, if I give her a note here, she look at.
So
It does not make much sense.
it doesn't.
to
That's
her.
not your job. Your
Okay.
job is to
Okay,
not
okay.
determine if she should get the notes or not. Your job is to provide them for her.
Okay.
That's what the group decided.
What the IEP states is that notes are provided all classes, all days.
Yeah.
That's the wording. So I think what we're getting caught up on is who is responsible for providing, or what does providing look like? Does providing mean that the notes are in a file and the student comes up and collects them? Or does
Well,
it
he just
mean-
told me a little while ago he doesn't want to provide the notes because he's afraid that people are going to look at the notes.
Well, I think we're getting stuck on what the meaning of provide is. Does provide mean it's the teacher's responsibility to physically hand the notes to the students? Or does provide mean that the notes are before class every day, or every class every day, they are available in the same place for the student to be responsible for picking them
So
up?
when did you
So
tell
they're
the
still-
students
they're
that there are
provided-
notes up there for them?
Well, it's on my desk.
Okay, have you told the students that
I
they
do not remember if I have them the whole year. I mentioned at the beginning of the school year.
So we can make that very clear to Abby and just reiterate where the notes are located. And at the beginning of every day, Abby, that the teacher is providing those notes to be available to Abby every day. And that would be in compliance with her IEP.
So she can, well, to be in compliance, right now, you should have all the notes since the beginning of the year available to her. So I should be able to call her right now to come up and get every single note from your class.
If I still have them,
It's not if, and I,
Well, and again, this is kind of where we get.
all classes,
sticky.
all days before class.
Okay.
All classes goes back to September 1st. I'm not trying to hang you out to dry because teaching is a difficult job. But what's been going on is ridiculous, and it's partially the supervisor's fault and the district's fault that this isn't happening.
you know, Ms. Dula, I'm telling you right now, I mean, and like I said before, I think the best to learn math is not about the note, but paying attention.
It's great.
Be part of the
That's
class. Because right now, if you do this, in the long run, she will not make it. I don't care about Abby.
I
know
believe you
Abby.
do. I have no question you do,
I think
and I appreciate that.
think
I have
this
no
is
question you
This is
do.
the best part.
I have no
This
question.
mathematics, not
So
like
to
English.
provide
Yeah.
for those notes, I would like a photocopy of all the notes.
I cannot make a photocopy. You or someone have to do it because I have class to run.
Okay. I'll have Abby come up here and ask you for all the notes so she can make a
That'll be
photocopy
fine.
right
That'll
now.
be fine.
From the beginning of the year?
Whatever I have right here.
Everything that Mr. Kwan has is
Can I,
available to.
can I look through it? This is all your notes
Pretty much.
from the beginning of the year.
Well, sometimes I get lost because it has been a long time. The kids,
So-
some kids. Okay.
I'm going to be super technical because we've apparently needed to get to that point. All classes, all days. I want all the notes for all the days right now.
Okay, so I understand that you want to have access to those. As a supervisor, I also have to respect Mr. Kwan's time and any extra requests that are made, because that becomes a workload issue as
It's
well.
not an extra request, it's in our IEP summary. All notes, all days, before all classes.
Okay, then I think that we can come to a reasonable agreement. I don't think that Mr. Kwan is responsible for turning over all of his notes
That's
right
fair.
now at this moment.
Maybe we need to have a short discussion outside of Mr. Kwan
Yeah,
right
of
now.
course. Need some clarification of what provide means on the IEP and who's responsible for actually getting the note, whether it's the teacher's responsibility or Abby's responsibility, and how Abby can get copies of the notes throughout the year. And I think this is also important for Abby to be involved in that conversation, because I'm sure that Abby is aware that she has that on her IEP, that she's provided with the notes,
Yeah.
all classes, all day. But it's difficult for us to know if Abby was aware of that she could pick those up.
She doesn't need to be aware of it.
Well,
They're not available.
All students should be aware of what their IEP
Of course they
states.
should be, but
So-
but whether or not she was aware of that is a straw man. It doesn't matter. They're supposed to be there, whether or not she's aware of it and whether or not she takes them. They're supposed to be there.
Okay,
And
so-
according to both of you, they haven't been. And they're not available now. So whether or not she's aware of it is
Okay.
not
There's,
a relevant question.
I think that there's a lot of kind of some pieces in here that are missing as far as what the expectations are on that IEP service summary. And I think that that's something that her case manager needs to be aware of too, because she's the one who is writing that in the summary. So she would be the one to help us interpret what that is supposed to mean so that we're all on the same page. Because that's really what the IEP is designed to do, is to make sure that everybody's on the same page and that we are enforcing those IEPs in the same way. And I think there's been a breakdown in communication of expectations of what that means. For some teachers, it can be interpreted as on that day, then the student is provided those class notes by it being accessible. But there's nothing that says that the student should have access to those notes from every single day for the entire year, if that makes sense.
Well, it does on Abby's IEP.
Okay,
All
so-
classes, all days.
Correct, but it does not say that she has access to notes, all classes, all days throughout the entire course of the year?
Well, all classes would mean anything that's happened in the past, and all days would mean today.
Okay, so again, there's some different ways to interpret that, and I think that's where we're running into the problem. So that's something that we should have a conversation with Ms. Wiesner about, so that we can really
That's-
clarify it and nail it down, so that we don't keep spinning our wheels, because I want to make
That's-
sure we're doing what's med anxiety. And that's,
And on a practical note, the reason those notes are important